Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. In today's video, we are going to be talking about 10 bad beauty habits that I think every woman needs to stop doing immediately. Although well-intentioned, these are definitely things I think so many of us are guilty of doing, and it's really actually detrimental to your routine instead of doing anything productive for you. Let's get right on into this list because I feel like you probably have a few of these that you've been doing at least once or twice yourself. Now, the first beauty habit that I need to really emphasize with you guys, and for anyone that needs to hear this today, is to stop picking your skin. Now, if you have a pimple, it is almost irresistible, almost impossible to not pop it. But the reality is that from a medical standpoint, it is not a good idea. Now, if you guys don't know, I do have a nursing background, and this is very common knowledge when it comes to the medical community. When you do pop a pimple, it does spread that bacteria amongst other regions of your skin. It also very greatly increases your risk of scarring. So this is something that you should really keep in mind when it comes to your skin, but I know myself, like I am so guilty of this, you guys. Picking my skin is almost a satisfying thing. When you see a whitehead and you're like, good. It's not a good idea, no matter how irresistible it is. Because I did pop a ton of my pimples when I was a bit younger, as well as even last year, to be perfectly honest with you, along my jawline, I am still dealing with scars that I have to fade over time because of those pimples. So even if you have a very instant, satisfactory kind of feeling, you may also be stuck with a scar that will last you a long time. So the pimple wins at the end of the day because it's sticking around a lot longer than you think. Bad beauty habit number 2 has to do with over exfoliating. Now, this is something that I see a ton, you guys. When I see some skincare routines on YouTube, I see a ton of people using tons of exfoliating products, sometimes layered over top of each other. The skin, believe it or not, is not like a battlefield. You don't have to scrub the heck out of your skin where you're actually physically putting pressure like this and you're just like, get all the dirt off. This is not what you need to do. In fact, chemical exfoliants like AHAs, BHAs, these are really nice exfoliating serums that you can use to just place over the skin. You don't have to press too hard. The work will be done for you if you have a good serum. Physical exfoliating is really just up to you guys. I do know that there's a ton of experts out there like dermatologists and things like that that do say that physical exfoliating isn't really necessary, but if you do decide to do it, go gently, don't go super often, and certainly don't do a physical exfoliant, then a chemical exfoliant, then another exfoliating product in the same routine. Like, that's just way too much. I will have a video coming up shortly on things that I do approve of when it comes to skincare products, but of course I'm testing a whole bunch of stuff out right now. So when I do have all my final results, I will let you know which products I think are absolutely worth their money. Now, kind of speaking along the same vein of spreading germs and things like that, the bad beauty habit number 3 definitely has to do with washing your brushes. I am guilty of not washing my brushes. This is the grossest thing and very vulnerable to say in front of the entire internet, but I don't wash my brushes as often as I should. That is a fact. Also, get your beauty blenders washed or beauty sponges of any kind. Make sure that you are washing them. Honestly, best practice would be immediately after an application every single time. I know for myself, if I take way too long with washing my brushes, I find I have so many that I have to clean that it just becomes more and more of a chore. So if I continue to get on that habit, wash them every night if possible, every week at the minimum though, you guys. They are a breeding ground for bacteria, so especially if you have acne-prone skin, this is something that you really need to get a hold of. Make sure you're at least cleaning your brushes so you can do your skin a favor. Now, bad beauty habit number 4 has to do with SPF. I feel like I should have worn way more SPF in my 20s than I did. I did wear it, I feel like, fairly often, but not as often as I should have. You know, it's not too late. Start it whenever you can. But SPF is one of the best ways to prevent aging, prevent wrinkles, prevent your risk of skin cancer, most importantly. Make sure you are putting this in your routine. An SPF 30 is awesome. You don't necessarily need to buy the big 50, 100, those SPFs. Make sure that you're applying enough of it to your skin. You do need to make sure you have a relatively heavy layer on your skin. This isn't going to be a little bit on the cheek on this side, a little bit on the cheek on that side. Like, you do want a good amount. I would probably say at least this. So if you guys can see kind of my hands, like at least this on your face, making sure that you have a lot on your skin so that you can actually get the SPF protection. If you do not have enough of the SPF, you will not have what it says on the bottle. So if you have an SPF 30 product, but you're only applying a very thin layer, you're probably getting like SPF 5 or 10. You're not getting the full strength of the SPF 30. Now, bad beauty habit number 5, you guys, cringes me to my very core. Whenever I go into Sephora or in Canada, when I go to a Shoppers beauty boutique, I have been to a Nordstrom, they have beauty testers out, which does offer a relatively good idea about how the product is going to look. But they are testers, they are for public use. Please remember that. There are people, you guys, I have seen this with my own eyes and it makes me cringe. They grab a lipstick from the tester, they apply it directly to their lips so they can see what the shade looks like. Huh? Talk about absolutely disgusting. I think you just made out with half the city. But really, no, I'm serious. This is not a good thing to do. They are incredibly dirty, you guys. There's people that apply them to the hand, which is more of the common thing, but your hands are dirty too. Think about people that go to the bathroom and don't wash their hands, then they place the lipstick on their hand and go like, oh, what's this shade? You've now put some bad bacteria on that lipstick. So what I suggest doing is definitely do not apply it directly to your lips. Ever, ever, ever. This is no, do not do this. But if you do apply it to your hand so you can see the shade, that's okay. But do know that this is something you're gonna have to wash off and then wash your hands as well right afterwards, because this is a potentially grimy lipstick. This is definitely not a clean tester, and they never are, so just know that. Unless you're lucky enough to get a staff member who puts a fresh tester out there and you know it came right out of the box, that's a bit different, but I would just make sure you're using very common hygiene practices when it comes to testers. Do not trust them as just clean out of the box. Now, bad beauty habit number 6 has to do with washing your face at night. Now, this is something that I have heard from some of you guys, where you guys kind of talk to me about your skincare routines and things like that. And some of you have said that they don't wash their face at night if they don't wear makeup. So if you don't wear makeup that day, you're like, well, I don't have to wash my face because I have nothing on my face. In theory, that kind of makes sense. But when you think about it, you should be at the minimum wearing your SPF every day. So you should be at least washing off your sunscreen. I suggest at least doing a light cleanse every night and moisturizing for sure if you don't have any other steps, let's say, and you just want something very simple. But I do think it is a necessary step to do every night, even if you don't wear makeup, because your skin is exposed to dirt and stuff that could very well be collecting throughout the day. Beauty habit number 7 is very interesting, you guys. I have seen people across the internet do this. I have seen people on that new app TikTok doing this, which you guys I've gotten very oddly obsessed with. Kind of embarrassed to say that. Also on Instagram too. Doing your own extractions is so bold, so interesting. It is a skill that estheticians are taught. This isn't something that you should just attempt. It's kind of like a do not try this at home type of situation. You can absolutely attempt it, but what will happen is you could potentially cause damage to your skin along the way, especially when you're going through areas that are close to your nose, for instance. There's a lot of blackheads and things like that on that area, but the skin is also delicate. If you're pushing it and kind of trying to get all those sebaceous filaments out, blackheads out, things like that, you are potentially causing trauma to the skin. There are actually tools that Sephora sells. It's kind of like a loop-de-loop kind of thing. Supposedly makes it a little bit better to get extractions out, but even still, if you're not an esthetician with that skill, I suggest that you trust an esthetician with them. They will be the ones that will be able to extract those things for you in like usually a facial type setting. They're not damaging your skin by forcefully taking stuff out. They're using some chemical exfoliants as well. This is the best practice and way to do it. So I personally would definitely not recommend doing this on your own. People are still going to try it anyways, and that's okay, but do know that if you do try it and you don't know the skill set, it could potentially make you look a little bit worse than better. Now, bad beauty habit number 8 has to do with lip injections. Now, this to me is something that I feel personally, fillers, Botox, plastic surgery, etc., is a very personal decision. I'm personally pro, like I think if you're doing something for the right reason. It is your personal body, your personal decision. That's different than if you were to do something drastic to please somebody else. That is definitely not something that I would ever endorse. Make sure this is something that is your choice for sure. But when it comes to lip injections, I do find that there's people that will go from 0 to 60 really quick, and before they know it, they have these overly large lips that look like you're kind of going through an allergic reaction perhaps, or they're just like so taut, like so full and tight that they look like balloons. Very unnatural and perhaps not the look that they're going for. So my tip for this is to start off slowly. Make sure that you're starting off slowly with filler, because if you go from 0 to 60, you show them a picture of a huge lip and they give you that, it might be way too much, and then before you know it, you'll have to go back, get them dissolved. It's not an easy process, nor is it a painless process, so I've heard. If it's a look that you're after and it makes you confident, again, that is different. But my nursing mind is kind of like, when I see girls like that, I often wonder if that's the look they're going for, if they had an allergic reaction, if they're currently in trouble. Less is more when it comes to those types of things, even Botox starting off with things like that. If you've made that decision for yourself, you're interested in trying it out, definitely find somebody that you trust in the community, like a trusted nurse injector or a plastic surgeon, someone that is very, very well reviewed. This is not something you want to be testing. Oh, this is a bad review, but I'm going to see if it's good, it's cheap. No. Make sure that they are well reviewed, safe, sanitary, and less is more. Start with that first. You can always add, but it's very hard to take away. Bad beauty habit number 9 has to do with lash extensions. This is something that a ton of my friends are doing right now, and a lot of them look beautiful with them because they've went to the right technician. If you go to one that gives you a very heavy, long lash that does not fit your eye, it's very obvious that you have extensions, which, you know, it could be that's the reason that you want them, is you want them to look bold and nice. But the issue here is that you need to find somebody that is very well trained, knows how to apply them, because you can potentially have a wrong technique, which would cause the loss of your actual like natural lashes underneath. Sometimes you will see people that when they have their lashes taken off, their lashes are little stubs, or like they're, you know, smaller than they were before. This should not be the case. If you have lash extensions, this should be something that should be done in such a way that your natural lash should be very minimally harmed. So when you do take them off, you don't have these tiny little stubs. You have as much of your natural lash as possible. Also, when you do have them on, when they're too heavy, they almost close off your eye. I don't know if you've noticed that yourself, but when you do see somebody with extensions that don't necessarily look like they've maybe been properly done, or the style doesn't fit like an everyday look, it almost looks like their eyes are kind of heavier and they're kind of closing halfway. To me, a lash extension should make your eyes look bigger, make your lashes look longer. They should be applied in such a way that you've really opened and widened the eye area instead of closed it off and kind of weighed it down. Make sure that you're doing the research, you're doing the reviews, you're deep diving into all of these technicians, because there's a ton of lash technicians out there as well. Find someone that knows what they're doing. Trust me, you will thank me for it. Now, bad beauty habit number 10 is heavy under eye eyeliner. Now, the people that I see who do this type of look are obviously very well intentioned. They want to define their eye, they want to put a bit of eyeliner on the bottom lid there, and they want to, you know, have a bolder look sometimes, or they want it to obviously emphasize their eyes in some way. But if you have this line way too heavy, and you guys can tell if it's way too heavy, your eyes literally look like they're getting dragged down. For me, I have a bit of a line you guys can see, but believe it or not, this is actually kind of like leftover mascara. So when I put my mascara on my bottom lash, I take a Q-tip and I just clean it up so it's ever so thin underneath that bottom lid. I don't want it to be too much. I certainly don't want the bottom eyeliner to be more than the top. If you have eyeliner on your bottom lash, don't be afraid to clean it up with a Q-tip and some makeup remover. Make sure it is nice and fine, because you want to keep your eyes nice and open. You don't want them to look like they're dragging off off of your face. That is just a preference thing, of course. If you want to rock that look, you go for it, but that is just something that I've kind of noticed when seeing a ton of people doing this style of makeup. What do you guys think of these 10 bad beauty habits? Do you have a bad beauty habit of your own that I didn't mention? Do let me know down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on everything. And until my next one, guys, take care. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.
You and me, everything that we've been through has made us strong. You won't believe we've had our gray, but somewhere there's a light inside of us.